Okay, so me and Brian are moving on to our next project. We're going to start setting up for getting presses and stuff to make our own, reload our own ammo. And before we get the press, I was thinking about other things we need. You know, we need a tumbler for cleaning up the old shells. We can get a ton of them and clean them up and do it for cheap. I went to Harbor Freight and looked at the tumblers they have, and you can see for 31 bucks you get very simple. This thing could probably hold like maybe 20 shells or something like that. It's way too small for what we're going to be using it for, and that's 31 bucks. And the one for two is 52 bucks. And then if you go down to the ones, the higher grade ones, they get into, you know, the hundreds. That one's 100 bucks. And this big bad boy here is 200 bucks. So what I'm going to do is, for the cheap, I'm going to spend about 35 bucks and make one that rotates a couple of these 10-tins. You can hold a lot of ammo on those, and it'll be basically like the rock tumbler there. I say I'm doing it for cheap, about 35 bucks, but I already had a motor laying around. So if you don't have a motor laying around, this isn't going to be cheap. The motors can be a couple $100 just by themselves, but I can always take the motor off and use it for something else, so it's not really part of the deal, I guess. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this pulley here, rotate these dowels, and rotate the 10-tin. I've got some hose here that I'm going to put around the dowel to give it some traction, and use some scrap wood that's just laying around. I don't need a lot of it. It doesn't need to be fancy. So let's see how it goes. Okay, I drilled out these holes to fit in the bearings that the dowel will fit into. I actually found some that were really cheap. They were only a couple bucks a piece, and they fit in the dowel perfectly, as did the pulley. So I was actually pretty lucky. Alright, it's just sitting here. Nothing's bolted down or anything. We're going to do a trial run. I'm going to hold stuff and let's just see how the can reacts. Flip the switch. Okay, flip it off. Works pretty good.
We lost the end there.
We did?
Yep, we lost the end.
Ford fail.
Fail.
Yeah, everything needs to be bolted into place and needs to be slowed down just a bit. Okay, here's the finished product. I ended up differing from my original plan. I only made it so it was 2 10-tins wide instead of like 5. The dowels were flexing and throwing the cans off, and it didn't work very well. I got everything mounted. Got a bigger pulley. This is an 8-inch. Before I had a 4-inch, and it just spun so fast that it wasn't even able to catch. At first I was going to use this hose as a grip. It's too slippery, so I switched it up and using, basically it's like a bike tire hose. It's got a lot more grip to it. Also on the cans I'm going to put rubber bands on there for even more grip. Eventually I'd like to put some gearing on here so that these two will spin on the same, so that the can, this isn't spinning the can, which is in turn spinning that, so they both be spinning it. It'll be more efficient that way. Parts won't wear out as fast. So what else? Oh, also I'm probably going to attach one of these on and off switch to the machine, because the motor just, once it's plugged in, it runs. So let's show you how it works. All these 10-tins here are just full of like rice or something like that, so they're not super heavy, but they work as a good test model. Turns it at a pretty good speed. really noisy when it's got ammo in there.